There's some lag happening. Not anymore. Maybe. Said there was some lag happening, but I think it stopped. I'm tired. It has been a bit of a day. Look how pretty I is. You can't see because there, you can kind of see when I turn it sideways and the light's not hitting. Can you see how pretty she is? There. Oh, you can see her. Okay. I'm sharing it to my story anyway. That has nothing to do with my stream, but that just popped up on my Instagram because I always put something in my story about me being live. And I try to give everybody a second to like jump on if they're going to. Most of the time they're not going to, and I'm just going to leave it up and then people watch it later, which is cool. That's usually what my best friend does. What are you looking for, B? Oh, you're. Well, they shouldn't be in here. He's looking for his paintbrushes. They somehow disappeared. Did you check on my desk downstairs? There's paintbrushes on my desk. They shouldn't be those paintbrushes. Then that one or the one in. There was paintbrushes on my desk in the. This might be the house.
I'm missing my brown Sharpie too.
Brown Sharpie? That's a weird thing.
Well, I use that.
Oh, I didn't touch anything else up here. Some art supplies have disappeared. Maybe it's the ghost in my house. I don't know. Oh, I didn't share my live to people. I got distracted because I saw Ivy's beautiful picture and forgot what I was doing. So let me go and do that because some people, like you don't have your notifications turned on and stuff. So I guess you get notifications from my text or my messages, I should say, on Instagram faster. So let me do that. I'm never very organized, and I'm sorry, but that's fine. That's the real me. Let's just... one of these days, I'm going to hit the wrong person, I tell you. I try to pay attention, but it doesn't always happen. Where are some of these people that I usually send it to not showing up? Oh, there's one of them. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't have like a ton going on right now. I was just reading messages from I'd sent I put a story on my Instagram about Red Jumpsuit Apparatus. I've been listening to a lot of older stuff. So like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus came out when I was like in 14, maybe around there, 13, 14, maybe a little older. Maybe I was 15, but my first boyfriend ever loved Face, and I had put a post about, or a story about that, and he was like a real dick. And one of the people that I know from high school like messaged me back because he wasn't much of a looker, but I was one of the only people in the school that seemed to really like him. But he thought I was ugly and boring, so that's okay. I mean, to be fair, like in middle school, most people are going through their like second evolution Pokemon phase, so you kind of look a little derpy, but that's like normal for like everybody. It's like right out of, well, I don't know. Kids nowadays, they like don't look like that. They all look really cool. But I did, and I looked kind of weird and lame. So I guess I just had a more millennial experience for what you look like whenever you become a middle schooler / early high schooler. But anyway, that same friend was getting rid of a bunch of their old CDs and asked if I wanted them. And of course I said yes. I know most people use digital now, or maybe they have gone back to records, which I have records too. Like I have regional at best and stuff, and maybe sometime I'll show off my record collection. I actually do have a ton of CDs. A lot of them are still at my mom's, and then I still keep some. Growing up, we listened to a lot of music in my house. So my mom, I think she had 2 radios in the house, like boom boxes with a CD player. At the time, there was one in the kitchen, and then there was always one in the bathroom. I know that's weird, but none of us could take showers without listening to music or something. Like now I can kind of do better and I can not have music or something on, but at my parents' house, we always had music playing. We always had the TV on. We were just one of those families that had to have a lot of noise in the house. So even now, like we go in and she's got a radio that plays random music, and then that one's almost always playing. And then we finally upgraded to like the Google Home thing that she can just talk to, and then that thing is also usually playing music. And sometimes she has another radio playing in Kieran's playroom, and it's just playing random music. She'll just pick a station and she just leaves it on it just so that there's sound. I don't know. Maybe it's like a neurodivergent thing, but if it's too quiet, it like causes me a lot of anxiety and I feel like I have to like put something on. So like even at the house, since we got internet, it's nice because I can put like a YouTube video or something on in the background and listen to my earbud. Because if I don't have like constant noise, it just feels like I get really stressed out. But anyway, that was a long tangent to explain why I have so many CDs. So growing up, um, most of my friends were not from wealthy families. I don't think any of my friends were from wealthy families. And so getting CDs back then, even though they were cheaper than they are now, was still like a kind of big expense. And most of us didn't have like super good paying jobs if we were allowed to even work. Like I was not allowed to work during the school year because my parents considered school my work. And so I had to work just for that little bit in the summer and then save up all my money. And a lot of my friends were either like that or they just have those little rinky dink part time jobs in the small town kind of area. So what we would do, we would take turns buying CDs, and we would also do the same thing with like buying manga or anime seasons. And then we would trade. So with the manga, it was a little bit harder because you can't really trade it, but we would share it and we'd have like parties where we would all come in the same house and then we would read manga so we could read each other's books. Um, for CDs, it was easier because we had one friend that could burn them. So we would all pitch in to buy like the blank CDs, and then she would burn the CDs. So we would give her our CDs and she would burn them, and then she would burn hers. And so we had a lot of them. So when she said she was getting rid of a lot of her CDs from back then, I said I wanted them because most of the CDs that I had of these are going to be burned ones. I actually did have this one. Warped Tour back in the day used to come out with a CD that was like $5. I think it went up to $7 by the time I stopped buying them, but it had like a different compilation of people that were going to be at Warped Tour that year, and it would kind of give you like it usually came out at the beginning of the summer, so you kind of would know who was going to be there and what kind of music they kind of played. And back then, the music was vastly different. So this is 2007, so it was starting to become a little bit more what we expect. Actually, no, there's still a lot more punk on here. So back in the day, there was a lot more punk and like punky pop bands. Um, and nowadays, I feel like when people think of Warped Tour, they think more of like the metalcore bands, which isn't right because there usually wasn't a ton of metalcore or postcore bands at Warped Tour. It was a lot of like punk-ish bands, and there were still obviously like Blessed Falls on this one, but there wasn't like a ton. A lot of it was like some of these bands people probably don't even know, but we knew back then because of Warped Tour. And a lot of people that were pretty unpopular at the time, like new up and comers, this was like how you would find out about them. And they used to release them too like this when they cheaped out. So these are like, this is 12 and 11. And this is when you start getting, I think, some of the more popular bands like Paramore starting to show up on here at All Time Low. And they still have some of the punk-ish sounding bands, but they got rid of a lot of those kinds of style of bands to kind of, I guess, get more into the emo like aesthetic. I stopped buying these, but Warped Tour 2004 and 2005 are like two of my favorite CDs. I think Warped Tour 2004 is they're like so good. I'm pretty sure that's, let me double check. I have those downstairs somewhere, but I don't think I have the cases anymore. I put them in 2004. Let me look. I used to go to Warped Tour back then too. Yeah, I think it was 2004. I'm trying to look. That was like my favorite one. It had some really, really really good songs on it, and I still like they. I don't think they even have it online for people to like listen to. People have made their own like playlist based off of it, but they don't have it. Oh, and another good one was Atticus. Also used to release. It looked like this. Atticus used to release a compilation CDs too, and those were also good ones to get back then. We couldn't stream music, so you either had to listen to an album straight, or you could buy compilation CDs where you could get a mix of stuff that kind of gave you like a playlist vibe if your friends didn't want to like make you a burn CD, which I know burn CDs are bad or whatever, but like I said, back then we were all pretty broke, so it wasn't like we could afford a bunch of stuff. Most of us could afford getting the Warped Tour CDs, and then there were like places that sold the used CDs, and so we would get those too sometimes because it's what we have. But I have like a huge stack of CDs over here, and I was super excited to get them. Some of them are a little bit less metally and more poppy. But I was really excited just to see these because I guess Warped Tour is coming back or whatever, and it's just not the same as it used to be. Now it's going to be just 3 shows, and it's kind of more festival style, which I'm kind of tired of those. I kind of miss this kind of tour where they would tour like most of the U.S. I can't say all, but they hit a lot of areas that were easier for people to access. And the tickets were also a lot cheaper, which I know with inflation and everything, obviously ticket prices is going to go up. Because I remember back then you used to be able to bring canned goods and you could get a discount for a ticket. Or if you bought your tickets early, you would get a discount, I think, for a ticket too. And I think usually they were $30 or less for a ticket for Warped Tour. Towards the end of Warped Tour, maybe they went up. I can't remember. B, do you remember how much we paid for our last Warped Tours?
Like $20.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that much. Maybe more than 20, but we were broke then too, so we could still afford to go. So it couldn't have been that bad. But usually we would get together and we would go eat before you went to the show because the food there was too expensive and we were broke. And then we would go all day. And I know one of the last shows we went to for Warped Tour, we got rained out and I just dyed my hair red, so there was red everywhere, which was horrible. And we just left because we'd seen most of the bands we wanted to see. And then we didn't even go to the last Warped Tour that had toured, and we didn't know it was going to be the last one. And I remember my friends and I were all checking to see if we wanted to go, but we'd seen all the bands we wanted to see, and the lineup wasn't that great, and they'd raised the prices again, so we were just like, we're not going to go because that just doesn't seem like worth it. And then we found out it was the last time, and we were like, we should have just gone because that was stupid of us. So yeah, so I kind of miss that kind of concert, but I don't miss being outside and being really hot because I definitely have pictures of me from like when I was younger and I'm like super sunburned and overheated and I look miserable because it was too hot. I remember seeing a girl, like a goth girl in like full black one year get wheeled out in an ambulance after one of the shows because she overheated. And I was thinking like she spent so much money to go to this concert and then she overheated and she passed out. And my mom used to take us to shows, and so I remember she pointed at her event and was just kind of like, this is why I told you, like, even though you want to look cool today, you can't dress super cool today because you need to dress cool as in not too hot. So I had dressed more like casually than I usually wanted to because I want to look cool with all the other goth and like emo kids, but my mom was scared I was going to overheat, and so I dressed down a little bit. But after seeing that girl faint, I was just like, yeah, a regular t-shirt and shorts is completely fine because she had like the goth boots and she was wearing a trench coat. I don't know what she was thinking wearing a trench coat. It was like 105 degrees outside and she passed out like during the first set of bands because like they have multiple stages and they just started playing some of those stages. So I don't know what she was thinking, but I guess it comes back to trying to look cool because other people are there because I felt the same need. But luckily my mom talked some sense into me and I respected her opinion enough that I dressed differently to make sure I didn't overheat. So I didn't miss that Warped Tour, so that was good. And like I said, the only one that I really missed growing up was, I think I only missed like 2 or 3 from like middle high school up. And it was mostly just either I didn't have the funds or the ability to travel out there, or the lineup just was crappy for me in my city. Because sometimes the lineups would change depending on what leg of the Warped Tour you were in. But usually it was pretty fun. It was just always super hot because they almost always hit our leg of the tour in like July. So like when you're in that giant crowd and like people are moshing and body surfing and it's like 105, 110 degrees and Midwest humidity, it's not always the most fun, but I think we all still usually enjoyed ourselves. And our location did have like an area where it was like the stadium had like a overhang thing, and so we would go sit there because it was shady and you could still see two of the stages in our location. You could see two stages, and usually one stage would play, and then when it was breaking down, the other stage would start. So they would kind of go off and on. And that was kind of cool because you didn't have to move and you could kind of sit. You weren't in the pit, but at least like if you were just cooling down and you didn't care about the bands that were up there as much, it was nice. And so we would kind of chill up there. And I have pictures of that somewhere of us sitting in those seats and watching. But a lot of time you wanted to be up in the front. I actually saw Katy Perry at Warped Tour. She was at Warped Tour one year. I only saw her because she was performing on the stage next to Alisana, and that was who I was there to see. So a lot of people were there for Katy Perry, and I remember I was not impressed. I didn't really know who she was at the time, but I was kind of like, who is this? And I was there to see Alisana, so I was kind of discounting her. And she was wearing a really weird outfit at the time. I remember thinking that. And she's always kind of been known for wearing like very eccentric outfits. But I remember thinking like that's a very unusual outfit. And then what she was singing just seemed like it didn't fit Warped Tour very well. So I was very confused. But I kind of only saw like two or three of the songs, and that was just because I was waiting to see Alisana, which at that point, I think that was the first time I saw Alisana, and they came out in matching Skeleton Animals shirts, which they threw into the crowd later. And I remember like wanting one of the shirts and like thinking back on that, that's really gross. Like they just sweat through that shirt. And I now as an adult probably wouldn't want to touch that, but at the time I was like really, really wanting to get one of those shirts, and I didn't. But and I've seen them like 5 times since then. I really like seeing them. They're very good live, and they're all really friendly. Like sometimes they would wait around after and they will like talk to you, and they've always been like super friendly, and they've always put on a really good show. So I really like Alisana. But anyway, I usually call them Alisana because that's how we called them growing up, but I've heard them pronounce it now that I'm older, and it's definitely Alisana, which I like Alisana. But anyway, so I've seen a lot of really good bands there, but I don't miss the moshing. I don't miss the heat. I don't miss feeling dehydrated all the time and being too broke to buy food when I'm there. So yeah, but I do miss it, and I'm gonna miss going to the concert. And I've thought about going to, like, they have that festival going on in is it Vegas where they're having that When We Were Young Fest? We looked at that one because Panic's gonna be there, and technically Brendan Urie's retired, but I guess he's gonna perform. So we did look at that, but like the amount of money you have to pay to travel from here all the way to Vegas and then stay and then pay for tickets and then you have to pay for food and everything. It's just, I don't know. To me, like these, we've already both seen Panic, so it's not like a big deal. And most of the other big bands there, I've already seen 1 or 2 times, and B's probably seen them at least once. So I'd rather just see people in local venues instead. Like I saw Attack Attack recently, and they were awesome. And I saw I See Stars with them, and I was like right up in the front. It was inside. I felt nice and safe. It was comfortable. The venue was really nice. The bathrooms were clean. So I think I just got spoiled from, the nasty outdoor bathrooms. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair a lot because it's driving me crazy. My bangs, I had to cancel my last hair appointment, so my bangs are insane and my roots are horrible. I think I'm gonna go purple instead of dark brown if she lets me. She's gonna check the healthiness of my hair to see what I can do, like usual, but I'm kind of thinking about going purple. But anyway, so this is Warped Tour 2007. And heavy hitters that you may know are The Used. This was when The Ripper had just come out, so The Ripper was like #1 on disc 2. And Chiodos had To Trixie and Reptile, which is one of my favorite songs by Chiodos. I think they're starting to tour again, which I need to check on because I want to see them. And like most of these other bands, a lot of people may not necessarily know. Oh, Aiden. Everybody knows Aiden, I think. They were a really popular emo band back then. Paramore is on here with their song The Circle. Bad Religion is on disc 1. Alkaline Trio, of course. We also had some bands like Killswitch Engage, and sometimes Bullet for My Valentine and stuff would be on here. Not this one, but Norma Jean's a band that a lot of people probably, I don't know how many people know that band anymore. The Matches, I used to love the Matches. They have more of a punkish sound. Street Dogs and the Briggs were usually on here. Amber Pacific, that's also a really good band. Medina Lake, I used to love Medina Lake. Bless the Fall, of course. I think this was Bless the Fall before the singer change up happened, when Craig went from Bless the Fall to Escape the Fate, when Ronnie got kicked from the band. And I hate to say it, I love Craig and Escape the Fate, but nothing will beat the original Bless the Fall CD. I'm sorry, but he just did something all kinds of different in that album, and it will always be special to me. Hyena, I think, was the main song that came off of that one that people knew, but that whole album was great. And back then they were considered a Christian band, and my mom only let us listen to Christian bands on Sundays, so it was one of the few like metal-ish albums I could listen to. It was like them and Under Oath. There's a handful of other bands. Family Force 5, not metal, but technically a Christian band. Old Attack Attack was technically Christian. But anyway, so a lot of these other bands, Mayday Parade, people know, but a lot of these other ones, a lot of people probably don't know, like Bucko 9. The Casualties had some good stuff. The Toasters, Piebald's got some weird stuff. Let's see, this is 2011. 2011 had more Paramore and A Day to Remember. And this is where I guess it started getting a little bit more metalcore, because you got The Devil Wears Prada, Asking Alexandria, Attack Attack. But they also had Hello Goodbye in here, and Family Force 5. Abandon All Ships finally was getting popular. A Skylit Drive. Every time I saw a Skylit Drive, they did not have as many people at their stage as I wanted them to, because I freaking loved them. I don't know if it was just because some people don't necessarily like Jag's like personality type, which I think that's not uncommon for singers to have a personality people don't get along with. But I freaking love A Skylit Drive, and I don't think people can recreate Jag's sound as good as Jag can, regardless from whether or not you like him. I think he's just really talented. And a lot of people don't like his voice because it's very high. But I love it. I love A Skylit Drive. I love A Skylit Drive so much that my village, or my farm in Stardew Valley, my restarted game, is called Adelphia. And my village in Animal Crossing is also called Adelphia. And anytime I can name a village, I usually name it Adelphia. And actually, over in the stack over here is Adelphia. I'm pretty sure it was one of the ones she gave me. Sorry, I'm trying to look, but it's a big stack. It's going to be at the bottom. Oh, it's not. Well, it kind of is. This is part of the stack. We won't be able to talk about all of them today because I don't have that much time. Adelphia. I only had the burned copy of this because, again, we shared it. Sorry, but I have the real one now, and I've spent enough money seeing them now. I have a signed shirt from them downstairs, but she took care of her stuff, so I still have the booklet. And look how precious. I loved Jag. Oh my gosh, I loved him so much. Not that I don't love him now, but, you know, I just loved this CD. This is very crispy. I don't think she got this out. Mine would usually get beat to hell because I wanted to memorize every single word, so I used to take these out. And the way that I would memorize it is I would rewrite the lyrics over and over and over and over again in a piece of paper, like scrap paper. And then I would sing it, and I'd restart the song like 20 or 30 times until I had all the lyrics memorized, which is messed up. But they did compliment me the time that they signed my stuff because I knew all the words for their new album, which was not Adelphia. It was when their second to last album came out. Right before they broke up. I don't remember. And then they got back together, but with different people. Their new stuff does sound a little bit different. A lot of people complain about the sound quality, but it sounds more like it used to, like a long time ago. So I think people that are used to the old sound maybe don't have as much of a problem with it as maybe people that are used to it sounding a little bit more clean. But yeah, so most of the people that like this, I don't know what songs people liked off of this album. I honestly don't think I had a song on this album that I didn't like. And that's because this isn't even my favorite album technically by them. Wires and the Concept of Breathing came out before this one and is probably my favorite album by them, but I don't really have an album from them that I don't like. Their newer stuff, like I said, isn't as good to me. But I don't really think they have a bad song. In my opinion, I just personally really like A Skylar Drive. Anyway, that's just me ranting about them because they're like my favorite. I should probably do like smaller TikTok shorts or something like that about all of them because I like them so much. I'm just gonna start grabbing off the stack because I'm probably only gonna make it through 2 or 3 more CDs because I spent too much time talking about how much I love Warped Tour and how much I miss Warped Tour. So this is in my stack, which is Shiny Toy Guns. They got pretty popular for the song You Are the One. And I think like Disco came out and was pretty popular for a while, and then Chemistry of a Car Crash. My sister and the person that gave me these really liked them at the time, so I listened to this a lot because of that. This is just a clear CD, so sorry about the glare. It doesn't have like a print on the top of it, and it doesn't really come with a lot of extra stuff. Sometimes they would put extra things in here, and this one folds out. So you have just like the mix and like thank yous and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't look like it came with a booklet. Or if it did, she lost that part of it. I still listen to this album occasionally. Every so often I'll get a craving. It's really fun to sing along with. And I always liked this because it had a female singer and it had male singers, but it didn't have like the same. He just came in here with red paint all over his hand to scare the crap out of me. He's painting a red dragon, but he's just being.
No, this is
Oh,
different.
you're not painting the red dragon anymore?
Well, that's downstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. We'll move on because that was scary. My heart dropped for like a brief second. I was then knowing him, he totally could do something like that and hurt himself, but it was just paint. This is Under Oath CD. This is one of their older CDs that has probably their most popular song would be Writing on the Walls from this album. I know this album really well because, again, it was considered a Christian band, and so my mom would let me listen to this. And they also had a couple other albums around this time. I was super obsessed with Spencer at the time. Spencer Chamberlain. I really liked his voice. And this still has a booklet. You can see some creasing. But this I think came out around 2004, 2003, 2005. I would have been like an early teenager. They have a lot of art, and then they had their little booklet with all the words. This was one of the screamiest bands I used to listen to back then, and so I definitely read the booklet a lot because I couldn't remember everything, and it was very hard for me. But if you read their thank yous, most of them, like Spencer's first thing, it says Jesus Christ is who he's thanking. So my mom liked that, so I was allowed to listen to this whenever I wanted on a Sunday. She also let me listen to music that was not in English because I didn't know the words, but joke's on her because I totally did because I printed them at school. So yeah, she also let me listen to J-Rock, which is kind of weird. Here's the used. I do have the used CDs too, but this one is obviously Lies for the Liars, which is one of their probably more popular albums. And this was kind of where I stopped listening to newer stuff after this album, just because I think their older stuff is so classic and good. But I do listen to the newer stuff sometimes. I still say it's good. I actually really love Bert's voice. I still have the insert on this one. And their album was pink, which I thought was really cool. This was a really cool design, and I liked the little box dude. I can't remember his name right now. He does have a special name. It's really effed up. But I always loved Bert's voice, and I actually used to really like the way Bert looked, but everybody used to make fun of me for it because he's not like traditionally handsome in the way that a lot of people, see traditionally handsome people, and he always kind of looked wet, like sweaty wet, and a little dirty, like crunchy, which I think is the used. They're just like a grungy kind of wet band. But when you had somebody that was more conventionally attractive, like Gerard, I think it was just harder to compete. And for some reason, I always thought it was weird that the used didn't take off more and doesn't get brought up as much. Maybe it's because Bert kind of has a personality, again, that's maybe a little difficult for people. But I think they're like, if you're into emo music and you're looking especially for that 2000s emo and you're not listening to the used, like, I don't know what you're doing, because they're one of the most classic emo bands from that era. Of course, emo started before that. I think emo technically started in the 80s, but most people started listening to it by the time we hit the 2000s. Let's see, this is not emo. Ooh, it fell out. I'm pretty sure I have this album, but I couldn't remember. But this is System of a Down. I used to listen to a lot of System of a Down. My dad actually really liked it. This specifically is Hypnotize, and it came out with Mesmerize. And Mesmerize was the more popular one that I think had BYOB on it. But I still listen to a lot of System. I love singing with System of a Down because they have beautiful voices. Oh, and look, speaking of, she has the burned version of Mesmerize in here with her track list. That's so cute. But this is how she used to make us CDs. I actually think my System of a Down probably looks the exact same because she probably burned multiple of them for people. And then she probably made us these little lists that had everything on there. I know the first time I made B listen to some of these songs, he probably thought I was losing my mind because some of the stuff they say doesn't really make sense out of context or in context, honestly. But I love them. Serge has a really great voice. Well, they both have really good voices. Darren, I think the other one, Darren, I don't remember. But I used to be really into them. I missed seeing them right before they broke up because it was 115 degrees outside, and my mom would not let us go to that concert because people were dropping. And it was 115, but I don't know what it was because there's like no wind and humidity. But I just remember she said we couldn't go, and I was super mad because they broke up. I'll do this one next. This is New Demons. If anybody knows me, they know I love Icy Stars. I just saw them, like I said earlier, with Attack Attack. And when this album came out was when I really like started to love them. I liked them before when, what was it, Treehouse or whatever came out. But when this album came out, this like just changed everything for me. I have to say, Devin's got one of the most beautiful voices live. He sounds exactly like he does on album, which is crazy because if you know, his range is just amazing. His ability to switch between screaming and singing is very flawless. He's just crazy talented, and he's beautiful, and he's got like, he seems nice. Like, I can't really say a single negative thing about him. I've seen them a couple times now and they never fail to perform well. And they just have a really good atmosphere, and people seem to really enjoy like the concert, so everybody just seems like really fun to be around at the time. And my favorite song on this is Violent Bounce, but I also like don't have a song on this CD that I don't like. Some of the other ones maybe I skip around, but I have to say that I've never really wanted to skip a song on here. Their new stuff is still really, really good. Damage Done, Get Even, all of those new songs, they're all super good. But Icy Stars is solid. This got me into more of the electronic metalcore, which I still really like. I think Abandon All Ships is also kind of like in a similar vein. And more Icy Stars. This is, I think this came out right after, right before. Yeah, this is 2013 on the thing, and this is 2011. I don't listen to this album as much, but like I said, I kind of like jumped in on this one, but I will listen to any Icy Stars that comes out because I just really love Icy Stars. And like I said, they never put on a bad show. I think he also has a clothing brand or something. I can't remember. I was freaking out because it was funny. This past year, I've been talking to this friend about wanting to see them again, and they'd broken, or they hadn't broken up, but they'd taken a break, and we were joking how we wanted to see them again, and then they came, but she couldn't go because she'd had a baby, and so I felt weird saying like, hey, you just had a baby, you want to go see Icy Stars again? So I didn't. I went with somebody different, and they enjoyed it. Although their favorite band that night was actually Attack Attack, which nothing wrong with that. I was just a little bit surprised because they don't usually listen to that kind of music. So I was wondering if it'd be a little jarring for them. But they said that they just had a really good atmosphere and everything. And he liked the vibes, I guess. Here's Issues. And this is what Issues looks like on the inside. I don't listen to Issues nearly as much. It's not a very long. This is more of like an EP than like a full-length album. But I think like if they come on, I don't usually skip them, but usually I don't listen to them as much. But I just couldn't see these getting thrown out. So, okay, I have a little bit more time, so let's see how many more I can get. Classic scene kid music. If you don't listen to Metro Station and you want that scene aesthetic, what are you doing with your life? This is a classic scene kid, MySpace kid music. I remember this coming out, and all of us with our neon colors and our over-the-top accessories listening to Metro Station. And we were very young, and the songs are very inappropriate, and we didn't care. Didn't realize until way later who he actually was in relation to Miley Cyrus, because he's related. But anyway, it didn't come with a very good booklet, but it is what it is. I still listen to Metro Station occasionally. I get that hankering for that MySpace scene kid music, and I'll listen to Metro Station and Hell Goodbye and like different music that was really popular at that time. But I think everybody probably knows Control and Shake It. Shake It's probably their most popular song. They still do make music. I don't really listen to it. I only really listen to this one out of nostalgia. But it's kind of fun. It is very good for like dancing and just kind of shaking it out. So I guess they did a good job. But sometimes I like think back and I like, it's the same thing with this next one that's in this deck. You like look at them and you're just like, are you really singing that right now? Because I know what you look like. And are you saying that? Like, does that work? It must work. I mean, they're older now. This album probably needs a whole video by itself. This is Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, which is by far to me their best album. That's a personal choice, of course. This was one of my first CDs that I memorized every single word for every single song, which I can't remember them as well now because I don't listen to it front to back like I used to when I was, 11, 12 when this came out. And I just remember singing some of these lines and being like, that's a highly sexualized line for me to say out loud. And at the time, they seemed a lot older than I was. So I was like, oh, that seems like something a grown-up would say. But now I look back, because I didn't have cable, so I didn't see music videos and stuff, right? So I look back on what they looked like back in 2005 or earlier, and I'm like, Brendan Urie, I'm sorry, you did glow up, but what were you doing? Like, did you? Well, and he didn't write the lyrics. That was what's his name? But I shouldn't say that. That's gonna get me in trouble. What was his name? The one that quit. Ryan. I kept wanting to call him Ross, but I knew that wasn't his first name. Ryan Ross wrote most of the stuff for the original albums, so that's why there's a huge shift in composition and feel and everything. I still like New Panic though. I enjoy singing it. Panic at the Disco and specifically Brendan Urie changed my entire outlook on being able to sing and what I could sing like. I would say in conjunction with Fall Out Boy, because Brendan Urie and Patrick Stump both have amazing voices and they have range, and Brendan Urie especially has amazing vibrato and stage presence. And I wanted that. So I used to listen to this album nonstop and I would repeat the song over and over and over so I could try to hit those same notes as him. And I still do that, much to B's dismay, in the car when I listen to songs like Saturday 45 times in a row because I want to hit one run that I can't seem to hit. But they changed my entire outlook on wanting to sing. And I can't thank them enough. I still enjoy singing these songs, and if I'm having a bad day, I almost will always put on this album or a Fall Out Boy album, like one of their older ones, or something like that, because it's just fun to sing and it kind of like lets me de-stress. I use that a lot as a stim to sing, and I sing like really, really loud, and I try to just get through, and I do try to be accurate as much as I can. I just love to sing. I would sing more, but I'm always scared that I'm going to get in trouble for singing because like the songs are copywritten and I don't know what the rules are on that. So I'm always scared that if I like stream or something and I'm singing, that I'm going to get in trouble and my account's going to get banned or something. With my luck, it probably would happen, even though I don't have many people looking at it. And I think singing technically changes it, but I don't know how that works because I would totally, like, I sing all the time. I sang some of these songs on the way home today. I think the only difference between Martyrdom and Suicide is the press coverage is the song that came on. And there was also a really good remix of one of these songs on the Snakes on a Plane CD, which I had because I really liked Snakes on a Plane. Don't judge me. But I loved that stupid movie and I loved that stupid soundtrack because I thought it was fun. They did a lot of cool remixes and like cut lines from the movie into the songs, and I just liked it. There was a song by The Academy Is that I really liked. And anyway, there was a remix for Panic. There was a remix for Fall Out Boy. And it was just really, I don't know, it was really good. But anyway, so they just changed a lot of how I thought I could see. My favorite song on this album is There's a Good Reason These Tables Are Numbered, Honey. You just haven't thought of it yet. And I practiced that a lot because he sings pretty fast in that song and some of the words are hard to get out at that speed. And so it took me a long time to do, but every single time that I'm still able to do it, it makes me a little bit happy that I practice that much on something so useless. But yeah, so this, I can't sing every word now. Again, like a lot of these are older, like 10 plus years old. So I can't sing every word now, but if I practice a little bit, I probably could still like crank it out of this little brain of mine. But man, I loved this album, and I'm sure everybody was tired of it. Luckily, B loves Panic at the Disco, but he got into Panic, I think, closer to, what, Nicotine era? Miss Jackson and everything? Are you up here? Was it before that? It was like Mona Lisa and stuff era. So third album era, because they had this one and then they had Pretty Odd and then they had that one. So, and I do like that album too. I have physical copies of most of these, just so you guys know. Like I'm a good emo millennial. I still got them. But I also still have half of these to go through and I have to go. So I'm probably going to do this again. Would people want to see me do like shorts on Instagram about these? Maybe I'll post one. Like I'll pick one and I'll do one right now just to see what people think. Like a quick little review, but I'll go over more of these. This has some Escape the Fate in there, some Breathe Carolina. I don't even know. I think there's an Alice Anna in here, some AFI. So I can still go and kind of reminisce being emo. And I never even showed these, but I'm going to do it now while I'm at the end of my stream. And maybe next time I won't look like so crazy. We'll see. I've wanted these again because I've had these before. And I couldn't get them because they didn't have them anymore. They stopped selling them. And they are the black ultra high top Converse. I had these when they first came out. I remember saving money for these shoes. And I wore them so much in college. I used to even tuck my sweatpants into it in college. Like I had some athletic pants that were cool and I thought it looked cool tucked into these. They probably didn't. I wore these all the time. And there was a girl on campus that I thought was really cool and she wore them all the time. And I was just like, she's cool and I'm cool and we should be friends. But I have social anxiety, so I never talked to her but like 3 times. My bad. Also, that was when I realized that I liked girls, but that's a different problem for a different day. But mine rotted because I kept mine in a basement, and unfortunately it got kind of mildewy, moldy because of the location I left them. And I didn't mean to leave them there that long. My intention when I moved was to go back to my dad's and get the stuff out of my room, which was in a basement, and bring it to my new house. Well, when I went to check on my shoes, they were gone. And my mom said when she'd opened the box, when she was cleaning my room, there was like mold all over them and it was discolored and she couldn't save them. So she threw them away. I kind of wish she hadn't, and I kind of wish that I'd been able to keep them even if they were discolored, and I would have figured something out to do with them. But I didn't, because I wasn't, she wasn't thinking. She was just thinking moldy shoes. You don't want moldy shoes. And I didn't think to like go check the trash can and just pull them out. Well, anyway, I've been bummed about that ever since. And they released the high tops again, but at the time, at the beginning, they'd only released the black and white ones and then the solid white ones. My sister had solid white ones. I'd had the solid black ones. And I didn't want those because I wanted the solid black ones. So I didn't want the black and white ones. So I was mad. And I kept messaging Converse and commenting sometimes on their posts when they would talk about their ultra high tops that I wanted the solid black, like black on black is what I wanted. And I just happened to be out with my, B and my in-laws, my siblings in-laws, and we were out on like a double date being cool. And I saw these and I was like, I don't care how much they are, I'm getting these. So I did. And I went and told the cashier, I was like, I need them in a size 7. And he was like, they run different. You're probably going to need a 6.5. And I was like, okay. So he brought me both. And of course, I'm a 7. And I know I'm a 7 because I've owned these shoes before. But, you were helpful. So I tried them on. But I'm indeed a women's 7 in Converse. I've only owned 40 pairs of Converse. My sister used to literally own, I think, 40 pairs of Converse. She had like every color. She used to walk into resale stores and find them brand new all the time. But I haven't owned a pair of Converse in forever. I usually don't wear shoes that are tight anymore because of my neuropathy problems. But for these, I will. And I will find a way to wear them. And I will find a reason to wear them soon because I love them and I missed them. And I'm so glad that I have them again. And it makes me feel really, really good to have them. So anyways, that was what I wanted to end on. Please do let me know if you want me to do short videos on like specific albums and what I thought about them, and maybe I can put them on shorts or something. I don't know. I've never done shorts on YouTube. I mostly just do it on my Instagram, but I could always save the video and then post it on both, right? That works. I technically have a TikTok too. I never use that either. I'm mostly just active on Instagram. But anyways, I have a ton more emo information I probably could provide considering I've been emo since 2001 ish, when I was like 11. Because I can remember when a lot of these bands were like coming out for the first time, and like it's kind of crazy to think about now because people like look at that as like, I don't know, like it's cool, and like to me it was just my childhood. So I don't really think about it. But anyway, just let me know and I will try to finish this stack of albums the next time I go live, and maybe I'll show off some of my other stuff if I can find it. If I can figure out a way to like, I think I can share my screen technically. Maybe I'll try to put together some kind of like slideshow of pictures from that era. I didn't wear makeup. I think I've mentioned that before because my mom wasn't super into letting me have makeup. So I was only allowed to have eyeliner and mascara. But I didn't really use it because I was lazy, kind of like now. And I just didn't like the feeling of makeup on. So I was like the emo kid that had all the clothes and the shoes and stuff, but I never did the face or the hair. She wouldn't let me dye my hair either back then, which is why I do it now. But anyway, that's kind of all I have. Sorry, I know it's just me rambling, but I've had like a rough couple of days, and so I feel like I just needed to talk about something different, and hopefully I'll have the energy to do it again soon. But anyway, I'm leaving for now. If you want to talk to me more, I'm on Instagram. That's it.